Keep your eyes on him, keeping our focus on the Son of God, the Holy One, Jesus Christ, at all times, through all things, and forever. It is probably the most difficult time right now to be a Christian. We can tap a screen and we are met with the same amount of temptation that people back then probably had in a lifetime. Looking through social media, looking through lustful things, looking through just hate comments, and everybody is at the palm of our hands. And with that comes darkness. It comes anxiety. It comes jealousy. It's a tough time to be a Christian in the new age. That is why we have to keep our eyes on Jesus Christ at all times. The story of Jesus walking on water, one of the most infamous miracles that he has produced, is the perfect parable to describe what it is like as a Christian in this day and age, and why it is so important to keep our eyes on Jesus through everything. See, the story of Jesus walking on water, the disciples were traveling through a sea and got met with a vicious storm. A vicious storm. Waves crashing, thunder roaring, lightning striking. It was a horrible storm that many of the disciples didn't think that they were going to get through, even though they had Jesus with them on that boat. They began to get fearful. They began to wonder. They began to fear the storm around them, just like how we fear life. Jesus then arose in front of the disciples, in front of their boat, and in Matthew 14:17, he says, "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." Jesus is right there in front of them, standing, being steady on water, telling the disciples, telling his fellow Christians to be strong and do not be afraid. Then we get to the story of Peter and his reaction to this. Peter then begins to doubt. He says, "Why am I following you? Why do I think that you're going to get through this? I have so much faith in you, Jesus, but yet I am still tempted. Yet I am still struggling. Yet I am still full of sin. Why am I not getting better? And why are you blessing and performing miracles on strangers when I am following you strictly, Jesus?" I know a lot of us will feel that same way. We think that we are following God, we are undoubted, we are servant, we are truly seeking Christ in everything, and yet we are still struggling. And people with ounces of less faith, so we say, or we think, are receiving hundreds, 10 times more blessings. We start to get jealous, we start to envy. Why is Jesus blessing and working on these people more when I, myself, am undoubted? That is what Peter thought. So Jesus told him, through faith, "I want you to walk on water and come and reach out to me. Come grab my hand, Peter." Peter says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I have faith, but I don't know." Peter then begins to walk on the water. But while Peter's walking on the water, you guys, he starts to look at the storm around him. There's so much chaos around Peter as he's walking on this water. The storm is making him afraid. See, Peter got off the boat into the water. At first, he sought Jesus, and his eyes were on Jesus. But then he looked around him, and he saw despair. He got anxiety. He was filled with confusion. He was getting sad that he didn't think that he could make it. And what happened? Peter sunk into the water. See, God will let you sink just to prove that you can never drown when you are in Him. God will let you fall. God will let you succumb to the world in your lack of faith so that you realize if you are in Christ, that is all you need. You do not have to be afraid. You do not have to let life dictate you. You do not have to let your surroundings and your environment influence you off of your God-given purpose. Because what did God do after Peter started to sink? He reached out His hand and pulled him up from the water. He then told Peter in Matthew 14:31, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" All of us will have times where we question God. We will wonder, why am I going through this? Why did you put this person in front of me? Why am I not receiving your blessings, God? It's because of little faith. If we have little faith, are we not thinking that God's plan isn't enough for us? When we get jealous and we envy those blessings of other people, it will become a virtue and a thought in your mind that you believe what God has in store for you is not enough for you. And that is having little faith. By you saying that, is you claiming that you know your plan better than God does. By you getting jealous of other people in a better season than you, happier than you, not being tempted as much, you're saying to yourself, God, I deserve more than the blessings that you have for me. And that is just of little faith, because every time, at least in my situations, that I question God or I doubt that He'll get me out of this situation, He proves me wrong every single time. God will let you sink to prove that we can never drown if our heart is in God. If you're drowning, it is by your own doing. Look at Peter. He was walking on water because he had faith in God. He started to look at his surroundings. He started to look at the storm. He started to look at the life around him, the sin, the temptation around him, and he sunk. Because what did he do? He took his eyes off of Jesus. But yet every single time we sink, in Matthew 14:32, we will realize truly you are the Son of God, because He will take us out of that water and He will dry us in ways we could never imagine. God is funny, y'all. God has a humor sometimes, man. He just wants you to believe, brother. He just wants you to believe, and every time that we take our vision off of the plan that God has for us, things will start to try you off in the wrong ways. If we keep God, chasing God, at the center of all things that we do, how can we fail? We can't. We can't. Peter was walking on water, just like God did. If Peter can walk on water by faith in Christ alone, of Him telling him what is his path, and to seek Him first, why do you think God can't get you out of what you're going through? Why do you think God can't bless you with the things that you pray for? Why do you think God can't heal you and make you reborn? Why do you think God can't get you out of your past and help you with your trauma? Why do you think God can't do that desire that you have? Why not? That's little faith. It's little faith in God, and we all have it. We all have it at some point. But if we want to never drown, we have to keep our eyes on Him at all times. The world is trying to suck us in. The world is trying to suffocate us. The world is trying to give us doubt. It's trying to make us miserable. It's going to give us depression. It's going to make us despair. It's going to make us angry at God at sometimes because of how hard the storm of life is. But who was walking on water in that storm? Jesus was. Jesus, after he got Peter out of the water, he told him he has a plan for him, and he told the disciples that he has a plan for all of them, greater than their fears. God's plan will always be greater than your biggest fears. And what did he do? The storm went away. He cleared a storm. If God can stop a raging storm, why do you think he can't give you that dream job? Why do you think he can't give you that perfect wife or husband? Why do you think he can't birth your child? Why do you think he can't heal your heart? Keeping our eyes on him will show us if we lean on our own understanding, we will always drown. But if we lean on God's will and continuously seek him, we will have no doubt. We can't drown in the storm of life if God is always uplifting us. If God is always reaching out a hand, how will we ever drown? If God makes us eternally safe through water, how do we expect to drown in the waves of tribulation and trial? If God made us immersed in water, how do we expect to not learn how to swim?